What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. For those of you stopping by for the first time, if you see something that you like during this video, please don't forget to subscribe at some point. Those of you stopping by that have been here before, welcome back to TLTG Reviews, my friends. Glad you came to see me. So it's that time of the week. It's my weekly rotation. It's week number 25. Stay tuned. Jumping right off into Sunday, actually ended up at my uncle's. We did kind of a poolside crawfish boil. I'll actually put that video right there if you want to check that out. That's my summer designer list. So I had to wear something appropriate for hanging out by the pool wearing a tank top. And in my opinion, this gives off that vibe. It's Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Sun. The coconut in this is pronounced and gives off kind of that sunscreen scent to it. It really does, which I am not a fan of. But the light blue DNA is ever so present in this that it tones it back. It's not overpowering. It doesn't give me a migraine like that type of scent usually does. So I was able to really enjoy myself, and I actually reapplied on that video, actually. This is one that some people like, some people hate, some people don't care for. It's kind of polarizing. It kind of falls into that meh territory, I guess, from what I gather. One that's worth owning. They were making their rounds in the rack stores a few months back, actually back in the late fall. And the last time I went before the pandemic, I saw they were still out and about. So if you see this one out in the rack stores for this 125 ml, they're definitely worth it in my opinion. You can get them online for a decent price as well. As always, I'll have FragranceNet linked in the description below if you guys want to check that out. But on Sunday, Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Sun. And then later that evening when I got out the shower, my favorite, Nautica Classic. It's very rare that you don't see this in one of my weekly rotations because I just enjoy it so much. It's very nostalgic. My favorite fragrance to spray out of the shower. It's Nautica Classic. Moving into Monday, there's kind of a mixed bag this week. This was one that I haven't worn in a while, that I just felt the need to spray. It was actually featured in a recent video, and I actually wore it that same day if I remember correctly. It's Coach Platinum. I still love the way this one smells. Performance is not really its strong suit. Oh man, never really has been, but the pineapple and the vanilla, it's like adding those two notes to Sauvage, in a sense, is the way I like to describe this one to people, because that's how it smells to me. It's very ambroxan heavy. It's got a sharp metallicness to it, but a much sweeter scent because of the vanilla and the pineapple, and I still smell it floating in the air. This is some really good stuff. You can get it for a decent price. I've always suggested it every time I've ever shown it on the channel because I believe it's a really good fragrance. Both Coach fragrances. I can't wait for Coach Blue to become more readily available because I'd like to get my hands on that because I like both of the other releases. So on Monday was Coach Platinum. And then later that evening when I got out the shower, Aspen from Cody. Haven't wore it in a while. Kind of a piney green, more piney and more green version of Cool Water or of Green Irish Tweed, however you'd like to look at it, but it's a great cheapie. I've always enjoyed this one. This is the second bottle I've had in my lifetime. It's a 50 ml, and it's taken me a while to go through it, but eventually I'll get another 4 ounce, which is what I used to have. It's good stuff. For 10 bucks, you can get a 4 ounce. I've suggested this one many times before. I love spraying this one out the shower because the performance isn't stellar. It's decent. It's a grab and go kind of fragrance, but it's very good out the shower in my opinion because you're going to smell refreshed. You're going to feel refreshed when you spray this on out the shower. On Monday was Aspen. Moving into Tuesday, I've had this bottle, this whole collection really. I've had this bottle for months and months, dating back to the fall. And believe it or not, this was my first time wearing it because I wanted to save it to when it got hot because I'm very seasonal with my fragrances. I try to stick to the seasons and wear what in my mind is appropriate for each. Roger Parfums Elysium. That's right, for as long as I've had this bottle, I just wore it for the first time this past week. And it's very good. I did a first impressions months and months ago, don't get me wrong. It's a very good scent, but I will tell you guys, it's not the end-all be-all like some people make it out to be. It is a great aromatic fougere. It's very fresh and fruity. It is of extreme high quality. It's a decent performer for being the Parfum Cologne concentration. But, you know, I wouldn't race out the door to buy a bottle. Definitely sample and decant this one first, because like I said, I do enjoy it. But this doesn't warrant the, oh my God, this is like one of the greatest fragrances ever produced. Don't be fooled by that. Try it for yourself, because it is good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not good. It is a good fragrance, and it does have a good compliment factor. There's no denying that. But it's not the end-all be-all. It's not a perfect 10 out of 10 to me. It's an 8.5 type of fragrance, which is still, like I said, great fragrance. I don't want anybody to twist my words and think I'm trying to knock Elysium. I'm not. This is just the first time I had a full wearing, so I really got to go through the experience, and this is kind of me giving my thoughts on it without doing a full review. But it's a great fragrance, but I don't feel like you need to run out the door to spend anywhere from $200 to $300 on a bottle. Sample or decant first and make sure it's worth your money, because this ain't cheap. So this is what I wore that day. I'm sure you weren't expecting to hear all that good stuff, but I wanted to give my thoughts from my experience with Elysium. And then later that day when I got out the shower, one that I haven't worn in a long time, it's Hollister Wave, the original, not Wave 2. Kind of a more Invictus Aqua 2016 kind of scent. The juice color is very fitting. Very salty, has a little bamboo going for it. Extremely synthetic, as you would expect for a clothing store brand, you know, teenager, youthful clothing store brand fragrance, but it's decent. Really is. You can find this one 15 bucks for 100 mls, 15 bucks for 50 mls in the rack stores, which was, I got a gift set for 15 bucks with this 50 ml. Definitely a good casual grab and go out the shower type of fragrance. Not a stellar performer, but a decent smell. It really is. And out the shower, I wore Hollister Wave. Really enjoyed wearing this one. Moving into Wednesday, I've actually had a lot of people ask me where to get this. The same friend that wanted to remain anonymous that I got Bentley Wild Vetiver from, it was a 2 fragrance deal that we had worked, where I got this one as well. So I don't know where he got it from. I just know that he didn't like the 2 fragrances and offered them to me, and love Wild Vetiver, love this one even more. Carner Barcelona, Fig Man. I haven't really searched where to get them. I did look on FragranceNet after the first person asked me, and they don't have it. But hunt this one down if it sounded interesting to you in my fragrances that are currently blowing my mind video, because this, there's no doubt, this is currently blowing my mind. Gave it a full wearing. Absolutely love the way this one smells. Really, really blindsided me with just how good the blend is. It's so relaxing. It's a lightly floral, powdery, soapy, slightly aquatic, fresh fragrance. It's just so calming. It's really, really good. The fig's well done in here. It's not overpowering. Carner Barcelona did a great job. This is my first Carner Barcelona fragrance. I've noticed a lot of their stuff at discounters goes in that 130 range. Some a little cheaper, some a little more. But this is one definitely worth checking out if you can get your hands on it. Fig Man. Strong, calming effect for me. May not be for you, but for me, this is a relaxing fragrance. And it smells just, there's some good stuff right here. So glad to have this. Carner Barcelona Fig Man. And then later that day, when I got out the shower, arguably my favorite version of Nautica Voyage. It's Nautica Voyage Sport. I actually just did House Talk on Nautica fragrances. I'll put that right there if you want to check that out. Released that video yesterday, just discussing all the fragrances I have. Out the shower this week was actually very Nautica heavy, as you'll see, especially coming up on these next three days, including here, because I absolutely, you can see the dent in this one. I absolutely love the way this one smells. It's definitely a sportier take on the Voyage DNA. This is one that I will be rebuying whenever this bottle starts to run low. I will get a 100 ml because this is a 50 ml. Love spraying Nautica fragrances when I got out the shower because they're not strong performers. They're pretty weak performers for the most part, minus a few of them are moderate performers, and this is in that moderate range, 3 to 4 hours, about 30 or 45 minutes projection, which is kind of the calling card for a lot of them. Some are worse, some are a little better. But out the shower that night, Nautica Voyage Sport. Moving into Thursday, Second full wearing on this one. This is a 2019 annual flanker from the Calvin Klein Eternity line. It's Calvin Klein Eternity Summer. Like I said, 2019. Has that sea salt, lime, and sage note breakdown that several years prior to this one had. 2020, they changed the note breakdown a little bit. So 2019 to 2020 is a different fragrance, but 2019, 18, 17, and 16, if I remember correctly, are all the same fragrance. And this one, very easy to wear, very versatile in warm to hot weather. It does give off a light bubblegum opening, like a lot of fragrances with sage tend to. It does tend to fade a little bit because the lime's present without being overpowering. Same thing with the sea salt. It's not overly salty. When you hear sea salt in it, don't think it's an extremely salty aquatic, because it is not. It's not overly salty. It's a little subdued on the salt, but the blends very well with this one. Not a lot of people talk about the summer flankers from the Eternity line. I got to tell you, I really enjoy it. Yeah, it's a little more on the generic side, but at the same time, you want a fragrance like that for certain situations. This is good grab and go year round, really. Don't let the word summer fool you. This is very easy to wear, very versatile. You can dress it down. You can dress it up a little bit. In my opinion, I wouldn't wear a tux with this fragrance, but it's definitely one that nobody really talks about, and you can get them for a cheap price. Like, I got this right before they ran out of stock from FragranceNet a few months ago. And I'm glad I did. I think I paid like $24 or $25 for this 100 ml. Worth every penny. I'm sure you can find them on eBay, Amazon, places like that. Check them out. They're really worth it, in my opinion, if you're looking for just a easy to wear, just enjoyable fragrance that people are going to like the way you smell. You're going to like the way you smell. That's Calvin Klein Eternity Summer 2019. And then when I got out the shower that night, actually did a shave, and I just had a vintage Nautica set come in recently. So this is a vintage bottle of Nautica. You can see it's depressed into the bottle, so it can read through both ways. And it's the dark green glass, the old style logo, versus this is the classic. This is the modern version of this. Now obviously this is a much deeper, longer lasting version. This is about 6 hours was what I got with it. I just really wanted to wear it. The top note's a little spoiled because this bottle's a little over 20 years old. Top note's a little spoiled, but that literally faded after 2 or 3 minutes. And then the heart and the rest of the top notes that aren't spoiled really came out. And this is a deeper version of this. Still pretty much the same smell. This is a tad bit more floral on my skin than this one is, but still that salty marine aquatic. This was the fragrance I fell in love with as a kid. Saw a really good like $25 price on an unused gift set. Came with a shaving cream that's spoiled. You know, I cleaned out the container so I can just use the container because it's got the old style Nautica logos. But now I have a vintage formula of Nautica. It's pretty cool in my opinion. Not everybody's going to care, but the aftershave is still potent. My God, it hasn't spoiled at all. And you would think being so alcohol heavy it would have, but that stuff's great, and this stuff's great. And this is back when they didn't have the green plastic translucent atomizers. The stem is much more stout in this one. This is back, which company is it? It's Paul Sebastian. So before they were sold to Coty. So this is back when Nautica was more of a standalone. Oh man, this is what it was all about. I always talk about how nostalgic classic is for me. Well, this is the actual stuff that makes it nostalgic. This is the original. This is just called Nautica, no Nautica Classic. So out the shower, was pretty excited to wear that. So moving into Friday, I actually did a full review on this a few days ago. I'll have on the end screen, I'll have that link to the review if you want to check it out. It was Versace Dylan Blue. I actually did a full wearing that day as well. One that I've learned to really appreciate. Oh man, I really do enjoy it. It's not overly expensive. I think I paid 47 bucks from FragranceNet with coupon code a while back for this bottle. It's got such a pungent opening. It was off-putting for me at first, the first time I wore it with the little dabber sample bottle I had. And then So I put it to the side, and then it took me months to go back to it and give it another chance, and I ended up falling in love with it. If you let this one calm down on your skin a little bit and get to the heart, it's beautiful. I see the versatility, and I see why it's such a compliment monster. And it still is. Still a decent performer, too. I still get pretty good 8 hours of longevity. Projection tends to fade after about an hour and a half, 2 hours for me. But one that's really worth checking out. There's cheaper alternatives. There's more aquatic versions of it. There's ones that came out before that have a similar DNA to it. But this is the one that everything seems to smell like. Yeah, Bleu de Chanel and Dior Sauvage, they all came out before, but they tend to smell more like Dylan Blue when it comes to these newer blue fragrances from these other companies, because I don't know why. Maybe it's because of the rapid success of it for the price, and other designers are like, hey, we can do that in that same price bracket, and they make their own version of it. But Versace Dylan Blue, no denying how good it is. And then later that night, when I got out the shower, like I told you guys, Nautica heavy this week. Nautica Blue. That synthetic pineapple, very, very, very easy to wear. Besides Nautica Voyage, probably the most popular from the Nautica fragrances line, and for good reason. You can get this one in the $10 to $15 range online, $15 all over at the rack stores. It's very easy to wear. It's a good starter fragrance for those that are really just dipping their toe into the collecting aspect of it, or for a young man, because this is actually my stepson's bottle. This is one of his favorite fragrances. He just really started expanding his collection. His go-to now is Jimmy Choo Man. Had to buy him another big bottle. He went through that 1 ounce I gave him. I had to buy him a big bottle for Christmas. And this is kind of his just, hot summer's day fragrance. But Nautica Blue, out the shower, works really good. And then finally on day, speaking of Dylan Blue, Salvatore Ferragamo Acqua Essenziale Blue. So yeah, this one came out before. That's correct. I had somebody in the comments for the last video talk about, well, the Dylan Blue video, talk about how could it have the DNA when it came out before Dylan Blue. It's not about which came out first. It's that this smells similar to Dylan Blue, plus added lightning components such as the Bleu de Chanel DNA, maybe just a tad in it. It smells like a conjunction of a few fragrances, with Dylan Blue being the most pronounced of what it smells like. It's like I said, this is like a smorgasbord of blue fragrances combined into one bottle. It's kind of how you can look at it. I love this one. I wore it yesterday. It went most of the day on my skin. I kept smelling the top of my forearms throughout the day, which right now they smell like Dior Homme Eau. I'm wearing Dior Homme Eau for those of you that care today. I know I've been talking about this one a lot on the channel, and that's why I wore it. I love this fragrance. This is one of the best bangs for your buck in the fragrance world, in my opinion, because you can get a big bottle for around 20. You can get a 50 ml like this for around 15. Find them all over online. I think FragranceNet only has testers right now, but you can find on eBay, Amazon, places like that. It's good stuff right here, guys. I damn near swear by this fragrance, because if I had to just keep one cheapie, this is probably the cheapie that I would keep. And then later last night, after I got out the shower, Nautica Aqua Rush. Like I said, it was a Nautica heavy week. That was why I did the Nautica video. It made sense and felt right. Another fruity aquatic. You can't go wrong. You can get them cheap. I got this one at Ross Dress for Less a few months ago for $12, $11.99 if I remember correctly, for 100 ml. They're decent fragrances and they're cheap. Out the shower, Nautica Aqua Rush. Well, and until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. I do appreciate all the feedback. I love hearing from you guys. How many of these fragrances do you have already? I enjoy wearing all of these, obviously. That's the reason they were in the rotation. And until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on any of these, you give them a spray now, who knows? You might end up thanking me later. Have a good one, guys.